Alright. Oh. Whoa. What's up, guys? This is Burrs. Today I'm going to talk to you about base layers, mid layers, shells, and all kinds of stuff to help you out on your backpacking trip. And one of the things I get asked a lot about is layering, what to wear in a backpacking trip or a hiking trip. People see the videos I make when I review jackets and base layers, mid layers, etc., and they ask me, what's the best combo, and how do you wear them together? So I figured I'd make this video and kind of go through just some tips on what to wear when you go on a backpacking trip. I can't really go into so much detail to tell you exactly what to wear. I'm not sure your climate, I'm not sure the temperatures you're going in, but I can give you some tips that'll help you out. So first up here, let's look at what not to do. Let's take a scenario. Scenario is 20-25 degrees outside and you're going on your backpacking trip. You just hit the trail, you got there, and you're putting your stuff on to prepare for your next few hours of hiking. So here's what not to do. All right, guys, putting my pack on here. It's 20 degrees right now. It's really chilly out. So before we get moving, put nice tons of layers on here. It's really chilly right now. This is definitely way too warm to wear inside. One thing people miscalculate is wearing too heavy a layer or too much insulation in their layer. And they miscalculate it because they think before they start moving, it's cold out. So they have to set themselves up as far as the layers they have on for how much chill they feel immediately when they get out of the car and they're getting ready to go. And that's going to set you up for disaster because you're going to get a half an hour, 45 minutes in, and you're going to really start to sweat. And that's really not a good thing when you're out on a backpacking trip because it's cold out. As far as you're doing like fall, winter, early spring stuff, you want to wear multiple layers, but you don't need them to be huge, bulky, and you don't need to wear the biggest cap because right when you get out of the car, you're cold. You want to make sure you wear layers that once you start heating up, they work with you, not against you. I mean, think about it a little bit. You're going on a backpacking trip. You're not climbing Mount Everest.
You look terrible. My stomach's not so good, man.
So let me grab my layers over here of clothing and I'll give you some tips. So we'll work from the inside out. We'll start with the thinnest and smallest layer and work out to the bigger layers. First thing you need to know is you need to use a base layer that's not cotton. Cotton does not dry fast. Cotton will freeze you to death if you're in cold temperatures and you start to sweat. It doesn't manage moisture very well. It's really nice in the summertime if you're going for a run or something. I like to wear cotton like that because what happens is it gets wet and then I kind of have an air conditioning feel if you kind of go like this and let the wind hit it. So I do like it then, but not in the wintertime. Cotton in the winter is a killer. So there's two things you can try. There's tons of different names out there as far as a synthetic game goes. You're going to have like a polyamide, rayon, polyester, and all kinds of proprietary names that all the companies have, but just make sure it doesn't have cotton in it. So this is by SkinFit. I got this a really long time ago. It's nice and stretchy, and it's made of polyamide if I remember right. So this is a real nice synthetic base layer. And then I have my wool base layers. These are real thin. If you're gonna get a wool base layer, get something that's under 200 weight wool. You don't wanna have a heavy wool base layer. The really cool thing about wool is it does not stink. So you can wear this for days on end, not gonna stink because of the performance of merino wool. I also have a long sleeve one here. I use the long sleeve one with a t-shirt sometimes just to wear around as far as undershirt during the winter time. So I really do like wool base layers. These are made by Rafa. I did a review on these a long time ago. I'll put a link down below to that if you're interested. So I'll go ahead and put these on as we go through. The next layer, what you're gonna want is a kind of like a mid layer. Now depending on the temperature, you might want something extra on before you hit your mid layer. This is made of wool and polyester and spandex. It's made by Ex Officio. Nice and has a little bit of stretch to it. I like that. This thing's actually one of my favorites. It has a mixture of wool and polyester. So this is a nice, I call this a second layer. Here we have a icebreaker. This is a 250 weight. This is more around 150 weight. So you're looking at 100 extra points of weight. So it definitely is heavier. This would probably be more for a deep winter base layer, replacing this with this. And performs the same way. It's wool, doesn't stink, keeps you warm, moves moisture rather well. As far as moving into a little bit heavier stuff, I have this Mountain Khakis wool quarter zip. Same thing as that. It's a little bit heavier and it has a fleece-like, to the inside. So it's going to keep you a little bit warmer than just a standard quarter zip merino wool, because it has that inside that's kind of fleeced out. And then Icebreaker also makes this Mount Elliott fleece full zip. They also make a non-hooded version. This is fleeced out as well, and this is really comfortable stuff. When it's really cold out, I'll use this in conjunction with my outdoor research Uber layer. And this works really well, like when I'm taking on a break for a snack to eat or whatever. You just throw this on underneath, and when you're more in the non-active state, that's when you want to put a layer on. When you're active, you want to have minimal layers. And when it comes to a mid layer with a little bit of water resistance to it, those aren't really water resistant. Now if it's wool, you're going to stay relatively warm if you are somewhat wet. But throwing something like this Uber layer on, which is my favorite, or something like this LL Bean packable Prima Loft will get you by. $100 cheaper than the Uber layer. The Uber layer is a game changer, has Polartec Alpha insulation. So I'll throw on one of these quarter zips, throw this over top, and I'll start hiking. Or I'll throw on a long sleeve wool base layer, throw this on, and get moving. So I don't like to wear tons of layers, and granted, you're going to have to figure this out for yourself. Maybe take a few extra layers the next time you go on a hike or the first time you go on a hike, and try out what works for you. It's all kind of try on air the first few times you go. And when it comes to hats, the majority of the heat in your body is lost through your head. So you want to be really careful not to have too heavy of a hat when you're backpacking and you're actively hiking through your backpacking trip. These are really great for when you stop, you come to a stop, you're eating lunch, like I said, or you're in for the night, you finally hit camp. These heavier ones are going to be good. Get a lighter one. If you're hiking and you have a little bit of a chill, you can get away with putting a cap on versus a layer because the heat stays in. So if you have something nice set up like this, where you have insulation, you have a base layer, and maybe you're still a little chilled, go ahead and put a cap on, but not a heavy cap like these. This is made by Cole. It's made of Agora, which is an animal fur or fabric. This is Arc'teryx, made by Arc'teryx. This is wool and polyester, and this is just a basic acrylic. And I don't use this one so much when I go backpacking, as I would just for like going around town or going outside. I do use a lot of natural fibers when I'm doing the backpacking trips. So let's take a look at different temperatures and what I might wear in those different temperatures. For something around the freezing point, 32, 35 degrees, I'd wear a wool base layer like I have on here, this Rafa. It's around 150 weight. And I wear this 250 weight or something equivalent in synthetic or wool fabric over top of it, because you're going to be active. You don't need tons of warming layers because you're going to overheat if you put too much on, like I alluded to. Now let's take a look at, down around 20 degrees, what am I going to wear? It's going to be real simple. All I'm going to add is this Uber layer jacket. I'm already having the warmth in here as far as staying warm, and this is going to really work on moisture that gets out. So this is a great jacket all the way down to 20 with a base layer or two underneath of it. And then, like I said, if the hands are getting a little chilly, just pop out your little thumb holes like that, and you're good to go. As far as the cap goes, you probably want to wear a cap around down to 20 degrees, 25 degrees and under, you're going to want to wear a cap. This Arc'teryx is on the borderline of being a little heavy. Probably recommend something a little bit thinner. Usually you can look at the different weights of the caps and get an idea of that. This Cole is definitely too heavy. You probably want to wear this one under 20 degrees and wear the Arc'teryx over 20 degrees. And that's all stuff you're going to figure out on your own when you go through a few backpacking trips. You're going to find out what works for you. You'd be 15, 20 minutes into your hike and you'd be like, hold on guys, I'm going to take this jacket off. It's getting a little warm out for me. I'm starting to feel like I'm perspiring a little much. Change it up, throw it in your pack, throw your pack on, and get moving like this. Backpacking is a game of constantly paying attention to what's happening in your environment, including yourself. So if you hear yourself getting overheated, they tell you when you go out and shovel snow not to wear too many layers and stuff because you're going to work up a sweat. And when you're out in the backpacking and you're not really close to civilization, you really want to make sure you take care of yourself, versus when you're out in front shoveling your snow. If you get a little hot or whatever, you can go inside, take a break and whatever, and you have all the comforts of your house. You don't have that when you're backpacking, so you have to be really keen and aware of what's going on with your body temperature and the moisture that's coming out of you based on, you know, the energy you're exuding on your backpacking trip. So hopefully this helps. You know, worst case scenario, if you're going on a backpacking trip, you're not sure what to take a few different layers with, put them on throughout the day or 2 or 3 that you're going to go on your backpacking trip, and see what works for you. You can always stop, take something off, put something on, and see what works for you. I've noticed that sometimes I think that a piece of gear is going to be awesome. I get out and use it. It doesn't meet my standards, and sometimes I buy something and I'm like, well, it's on sale. I might be able to use it. I'm not sure about it. And I use it and I'm like, wow, this is the best thing I've used in a while. So sometimes you're never sure what's going to work the way you think it's going to work. So just take a few extra layers and, you know, trial and error, see how it works for you. So if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. If you guys have your ways of going through your layer management with your backpacking trips, go ahead and put that down below in the comments section. And maybe some of the new stuff you've tried out that you like, put that stuff down in the comments section. And better yet, make a video about it. And until next time, later.